Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is his availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Vince 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and we are here. It is March Madness. It is March Madness. We are here. It's finally here. We got the NCAA tournament starting on Thursday, so it's gonna be very, very interesting. And we got to start with UConn and UConn playing in the West region. And we got to talk about how far do we think UConn is going to go in this tournament? How far do we think they're going to go? And from what I've saw at the Big East tournament, I don't think past the Sweet 16. I don't think they're getting past Kansas in the Sweet 16. I did not like the way they closed Providence, and I really didn't like the way they ended that game against Marquette. I know they've won 8 out of 10, but 6 of their 25 wins were against teams that were not in the tournament. Also, none of those 6 wins were on the road. 3 were at neutral sites, but one of them was at a neutral site at Madison Square Garden where they played Providence, so I consider that a home game. So 4 of those 6 were home games. So I just don't see this team getting past the Sweet 16 because the point is Hurley can't win close games against good teams. This has been a problem since he became the head coach.
Yeah, I completely agree. I get criticized for saying that, but trust me, I completely agree with you.
I feel like the one close game they won is the one he got ejected out of against Villanova.
Yeah, and I don't think they win that game with him on the sideline. That's my opinion. From what I've seen, I don't trust them. And look, I think this team can make a Final Four, but can they hit shots
when they matter? Like on Friday, They didn't hit shots when it mattered.
No. Again, that final possession, I don't know what was being ran there. Again, the one that Calcaterra in the corner with like 30 seconds left, that was a good play. He was wide open. He just missed it. I will give Hurley credit. I thought he drew up a good play there. Didn't fall. Because I think they could beat Kansas. Because if you could shut down Jalen Wilson and Grady Dick, you got a chance against Kansas. Because Juwan Harris is not a great scorer, and he doesn't attack. They're very vulnerable. But yeah, I think the criticism, with Hurley, I think is fair. And again, he's 0-4 now in conference semifinals. They lose Friday, they'd be 0-3, and all 3 teams would be to a double-digit seed. So there's a lot of pressure. This team should get to at least a Sweet 16. There's no excuse. So I'm with you. They have to get to at least a Sweet 16. I could see them going on a run and win it, win the whole thing, but there's no Kemba or Shabazz Napier on this team. And I don't
No.
Jordan Hawkins is a great player, but he can't create like those two could.
5 points. 5 points in the Big East semifinals is unacceptable. You cannot be a great at UConn and score 5 points in a semifinal. He better pick it up in the tournament, where he's not going to be in the conversation with the Shabazzes, the Kembas, the Richard Hamiltons, the Emeka Okafors, the Ben Gordons. He's not going to be in that or in the Ray Allens. He's not going to be in that conversation if he can't show up in the NCAA tournament. And I like their matchup in the second round. I really do, against VCU or St. Mary's. I really like their matchup in the second round, but I just can't see this team getting past Kansas.
No, I agree. I totally could see that. Again, Bill Self right now, I think he's back on the sidelines, but it sounded like he got a couple, stints put in. So we'll see kind of what happens there if UConn could get there. But yeah, look, Hawkins got to knock down some shots. Andre Jackson's got to be confident. Alex Harabin's really been really good. The defense has got to kind of play like it did in the month of February. And even like it did the first 25 minutes against Providence. But again, they took the air out of the ball way too early. Providence went to a 3-2, and we looked like deer in headlights. It just, again, it was. I thought we were going to lose that game when Providence cut it to 5 at the end of the 4. I seriously thought they were going to lose that game. But yeah, again, and you're going up against a Hall of Fame coach, Rick Pitino. So the closer this thing is at like the under 8 at the end of the 4, the less and less confidence I'm going to have in this team. They should beat this team. But again, Walter Clayton Jr., I know his best player. He could be what Teddy Allen did to us last year and put up 38. It's very possible. That kid could score the basketball.
Yeah, we'll go to the UConn Iona game. What do you expect on Friday when those two teams go up against each other? Rick Pitino, playing he's probably going to be coaching the Big East, but it's ironic he's coaching against the Big East team in the first round. Yeah,
absolutely. Again, that's kind of hope where his mind is right now. And he's worried about St. John's gig and not really much at Iona. That will help. But again, Iona's got two really good guards in Walter Clayton Jr. and Quadras Jenkins. If those two are off, and if you could slow those two down, Iona's not very deep. They're not very deep in the front court either. They only play like 6. They play a 7th, but he doesn't get too many minutes. But the thing is, they're gonna press. And UConn's had some problems at times pressing. That's one thing that's a little bit concerning. But again, this team could score. Again, like they have some talent, but this is a team. UConn's got a lot more talent than them. They're trying to think who their best win was. Their best win is like maybe Princeton. Like it's like they didn't, or St. Louis probably actually. It's probably their best win of the year. There's it's a team you should beat. Their guards are good, but you can slow those two down. You got a chance. But look, you got Rick Pitino on the other side. It's not going to be easy. It's it's going to be a tough one, but it's a team that they have more talent than, and they should beat. Adama Sanogo, Donovan Clingan. They should be able to dominate down low, especially if they could get their two front court guys in foul trouble, because they don't have much behind those two.
Yeah, no. Exactly. So we'll go to the West region, and we look at this region, and the first question is, I'll ask this with every region, is who is the sleeper team? Who's the team that no one's talking about this region? I know people are talking about Kansas and Gonzaga and UCLA, but who's that team that no one's really talking about this region that can make a run to the Final Four?
I think it's Arkansas. I think it's the Razorbacks. It's a team that's earned the top 10 in the preseason. They're probably the only team in the country too with 2 lottery picks. Duke might, Filipowski I think will. But again, problem with Arkansas is they've been banged up. Nick Smith and Anthony Black are 2 guys who are really good at scoring the basketball. I think that's a team that they will beat Illinois. I don't think Illinois is that good. I think they can knock off Kansas because they have the athleticism to beat them. They have the scores. Arkansas's problem at times is they miss a lot of, they go cold at times. But Eric Musselman, his last couple appearances, he's made Elite Eights. I could really see that Arkansas team make a run here, knock off Kansas. That's a good team that I know people before the year thought they could win a national championship.
And the thing is, Eric Musselman, he upset Gonzaga last year, got to the Elite Eight, and yeah, they got some NBA talent. You see the NBA mock drafts; they got some. They're not great college players, but yeah, with like Anthony Black, They got some
Nick
talent
Smith.
on that. Who else? No, Smith.
Nick Smith.
Nick Smith. Yeah, they got
Jordan
some talent on
Walsh.
that team. Got some athleticism. Got some talent on that team. So I wouldn't be surprised if they upset Kansas.
No, I wouldn't either. Especially mentioning that Kansas struggles at times too. If you could shut down Wilson and Grady Dick, you got a chance against the Jayhawks. So yeah, absolutely. Arkansas could be a very tough out for the Jayhawks the second round if Arkansas is able to get by Illinois, which I think they'll be able to.
So who is a mid-major that can make a run in this region?
The mid-major, I guess I consider them one is VCU. They are. Yeah, I know they made like a Final Four run. The A-10's not usually mid-major. I mean, A-10's usually pretty confident down this year, but they do have a guy at point guard, Ace Baldwin, who could probably play majority, Power 6 conferences and probably start there. He missed a couple games early on. Their defense is really good. That St. Mary's game is going to be, again, that if you really don't like defense, that's not going to be a fun game for a lot of people. But Ace Baldwin's very talented enough where he could go off and put up 20-25 against somebody, just make a name for himself. VCU could get stops. That's a team that's starting to play better down the stretch. They haven't lost since the beginning of February. That's a team that's playing really good basketball right now. VCU is going to be a tough out for St. Mary's. They could even be a tough out for UConn or Iona, whoever wins that other first round game.
Yeah, they definitely could be a tough. Yeah, I could see VCU upsetting UConn in this tournament. I definitely could see that happening in Albany on Sunday. But we will move on to the East region, and the big question in the East region is should Duke, as the number 5 seed, be the favorite going in this region? Seeing that, I know they are the number 5 seed, but they have won 9 in a row. But I think the issue there is their first round matchup with Oral Roberts and Max Asmus. That's why I don't have them. Let's circle back to the West region for a sec. Who do you have in the Elite Eight, and who do you have winning that region?
At the moment, it will probably change the next 24 hours or so, but I do have UConn Gonzaga. I do have Gonzaga in the Final Four. I like that defense isn't great, but UCLA's banged up. Adam Bonin, I don't know if he's going to play. Jalen Clark's already out for the remainder of the year. Drew Timme and that team, if their guards can make enough shots, they're not the great guards we've seen the last couple of years, but they're good enough. I think Gonzaga could go on a run. Drew Timme's last ride, I think that Gonzaga team's got a chance that they could make enough stops.
I got Kansas over Gonzaga. I think, Kansas, obviously the best coach team, the defending national champs, got one of the best players in the country in Jalen Wilson, got a really good player in Grady Dick. I got Kansas beating Gonzaga in the West region. But circling back to the East, and the question, should Duke be the favorite? They've came in winning 9 in a row. I know they're the number 5 seed, but the biggest thing with Duke is the opponent they have in the first round, Max Asmus and Oral Roberts. And we all know what Max Asmus did 2 years ago in this tournament. So that's why I just don't have them winning this tournament. That's why I don't have them in the favorite. But Justin, do you think they should be the favorite? After winning 9 in a row.
No, it's recency bias. And same thing with Marquette. Again, Jay Billis said Duke should be a 3 seed. They've beaten one team in the top 30, and that was Xavier. Give me a break, Jay. I know you only watch ACC basketball. I understand that, but the ACC stinks. Virginia stinks. They scored 49 points. Again, I think John Shire's done a better job as an in-game coach, but everybody's like, oh, he's done a great job. They have so much talent that it's pretty disappointing the way they started out. Like it really is. It's recency bias. The ACC stinks. It's the same thing with Marquette, but right now, because I do not like Purdue. I think that 8-9 matchup, whoever comes out of that is a bad matchup for the Boilermakers. I have Marquette as a favorite, even though there's a lot of recency bias there, but I still trust that Marquette team with Tyler Kolek more than I trust that Duke team. And you're right, Oral Roberts, man, that is a good basketball team, and that's a team that I very easily could knock off Duke there on Thursday, Friday night.
So we know we're talking about Duke, we're talking about Purdue, we talk about this region and Marquette, but who is that sleeper? Who's that team that no one's talking about who can make a run in this region and get to the Final Four?
I got the Florida Atlantic Owls.
Wow.
I was going to go Memphis, but Charles Barkley took them, and I can't pick with Charles Barkley. It usually never goes right for me. So I'm going Florida Atlantic. They're a team that could put a lot of ball pressure on Purdue. They got a big guy, and I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. Stalviz Golden. He's a 7-foot 240. He can match up with Zach Edey because he'll be physical with them. Florida Atlantic, it's an older team. They got a lot of older guys that have kind of been around. They also got former UConn guard Jalen Gaffney, even though this is how good that team is. He's only averaging like 5 points a game. He's like their 7th, 8th leading scorer. They got a lot of talent. They're an older team. Dusty May's out of the Bobby Knight. He used to be a former student manager under Bobby Knight. I love that Florida Atlantic team. They've been fun to watch all year. I think they knock off Memphis. I think they knock off Purdue. That team is for real. They should not be a 9 seed. That team should probably be a 6 seed.
Wow.
I love Florida Atlantic. It's a bad matchup for the Boilermakers.
So is there another mid-major that could make maybe not a Final Four run, but a run in this tournament from this region?
I get Oral Roberts. I get the Eagles.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. That's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, I get the Eagles. Max Abus, as you mentioned, that guy's a stud. That guy could score the basketball. They got a 7'4" transfer from Arkansas County, Vanover. And again, he's gonna be able to pull Duke, Derek Lively away from the basket because he can shoot threes and he'll hit them. I think he's somebody that's starting that late second round. Teams are kind of interested on him. Again, if he could hit a couple big shots against Duke, he's definitely somebody that teams will take a look at. But they got 3 starters back from that team 2 years ago. That's a team that knows how to win basketball games. They get a couple guys around A. Smith to hit shots. Duke will be headed for an early exit. That O'Reilly team with Paul Mills, again, I think he's going to get a bigger job, especially if they knock off Duke. So I love that O'Reilly team. They're a little bit better defensively than they were 2 years ago because of Vanover, because he could protect the rim. They didn't have that a couple years ago. That O'Reilly team, I think, is more dangerous now than they were a couple years ago.
So, who is your Elite Eight and who do you have winning it? For me, I got Marquette making the run. I got Marquette continuing to play well at the Garden, getting to the Elite Eight, and I got them facing the Duke Blue Devils. I think Duke pulls that. I know they got if they get past that first round game, they got a big break in the second round because Tennessee's going to be without one of their best players. So I think they upset Purdue because I think Purdue will have they'll double Edey, or they don't even need a double Edey because you have Filipowski, or you could have Lively that could contain Edey, and I think Purdue will have trouble shooting the ball. I like their matchup with Purdue, but when they get to that game at Madison Square Garden, I think Marquette's defense is what makes the difference in that game against Duke. I think the Big East is a better conference than the ACC, and we've definitely discussed that a lot this year. So that's why I got Marquette coming out of the East region.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got Marquette against I got them being the Florida Atlantic Owls in the Elite Eight.
Wow.
Yeah, I got Florida Atlantic and Old Roberts my Sweet 16.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a big. I love both those teams.
So imagine that Florida Atlantic against Oral Roberts at Madison Square Garden. I'm telling you, the New York fans would not be happy about that matchup.
No. I may have to go. I like both those two teams. The tickets wouldn't be bad, actually. They probably wouldn't. I may have to.
Maybe it'd be a matchup for you to watch.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one. I love watching those two teams play. Be a homecoming for Gaffney because he's from upstate New Jersey, so it'd be a nice homecoming for Jalen Gaffney. But I'm with you with Marquette. The one worry is, believe it or not, Marquette has not won a tournament game since 2010. Jay Crowder was still on the roster. It's been a while. And Shaka hasn't won one since 2011. It's been a while. That's what worries me. But yeah, I don't really believe in K-State because of Norvell and Keontae Johnson. Outside of those two, they don't have much. Kentucky, I don't buy. Providence right now, I think Ed Cooley's on his way to Georgetown at the moment. I don't think Providence is the way they've been playing. I don't know if they're going to show up. So I think Marquette takes it. I think that's going to probably be the craziest region of all of them. And I got Marquette, as you mentioned, continue to play well. And again, we saw last week the Marquette fans show up at the Garden, and they definitely show up, I would think, once again.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll go to the South region. That's where the number 1 overall seed is in Alabama. As we know, the teams that people think are going to win it: Alabama, Arizona, Baylor. You have Creighton in that region, then you got Virginia in that region. I actually have one of my big upsets in that region. I got Foreman beating Virginia. But the big question here is we know we're talking a lot about Brendan, and I know the big story will be about Brendan Miller in Alabama. You're talking about Arizona, who won the Pac-12. You obviously got Baylor too, who won the national title 2 years ago. But who is the team? Who is the sleeper team? Who's the team that no one's talking about who can get to the Final Four in the South region?
I'm going with the Korean Blue Jays. I know.
I like that pick.
Yeah,
I like that pick. I got them going Sweet 16.
Dude, okay. I think they match up well against Baylor. That would be.
I love their matchup with Baylor because of Cal Brenner. I think the size of Creighton is going to help them in that game, in that matchup.
Yeah, I completely agree with you because Baylor's going to show down low Kalkbrenner. I think Shireman could have a big day, shooting wise. The one where I have with Creighton's a depth. That's the one
That's the thing.
But
in the semifinal against Xavier, they only got 3 bench points.
Yeah, that's the issue. Even the one thing I keep trying to tell myself is North Carolina had 0 depth either last year. Like that. They didn't either. I really, this. I love McDermott as I coach. If they had 1 or 2 of those starters healthy last year, they would have knocked off Kansas second round. I truly believe that. I think it's a team that I've been on them all year. I took them in July to win the national championship. I've been high on them all year. The depth's a concern, but I love that roster with Ryan Nemhart. Baylor Shireman can knock down jumpers. Kalkbrenner, I still can't believe he won Defensive Player of the Year. I still don't think he's that great of a big man. I think he's got 0 big man moves. Really, he's got 1, but I'm not a big Kalkbrenner fan. But I think Creighton's that sleeper. I think it's a dangerous team. Arizona with Balo is banged up. He broke his hand, but I guess it sounds like he's gonna play through it. But I love the Creighton Blue Jays. I think they could make a big run.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I got them going Sweet 16. I'm losing to Arizona, but I got them going Sweet 16. So who is the mid-major that can make a run in this region?
I'm going with the pick that you got, losing beating Virginia. I got the Furman Paladins. I think it's a team they got a lot of really good shooters. They got 2 or 3 guys that they're 5th-year players. Mike Rothwell, their point guard. He can really light up the scoreboard. He averages 18 points a game. And the thing is about Virginia is their pack line defense. They struggle to defend the 3-point shot, and Furman's going to be able to hit threes. The thing about Furman is, too, that I think this is a good matchup for them because they played NC State early on this year. They got run out of the gym because they tried to run with them. Virginia is going to try to play this game, obviously, in the 50s and 60s, and I think that's going to help out Furman. That's going to give them the advantage. They got Bob Ritchie's a very good coach. They've, last 6-7 years, they've finished like top 3 in the Southern. They finally cracked it this year. And I think that Furman team could make a run. I do have them. I'll probably have them in my Sweet 16. I really like that team. A lot of veteran guys, well coached. I think Furman's got a chance here to play Alabama in Sweet 16.
So what's your Elite 8 and who do you have winning? I have it chalk in this region. I got Alabama beating Arizona. I just don't think Creighton can beat Arizona. I think Creighton will be able to contain Arizona. I think Arizona will be able to contain Creighton's inside game, and that's why I think that Arizona beats them. And I think Alabama is the best team in the country. That's why I got them winning. And you got a comment from Hector. What about the Aztecs in the South? I got the Aztecs going to the Sweet 16. I think they play really good defense. I got them going Sweet 16. It looks like you got them losing in the second round.
Yeah, I do. I was really high in this team in the preseason because they brought in Darian Treadmill, the Seattle trainer who led the country last year in scoring. Like, I thought they brought in some really good guys to help out to scoring wise. It hasn't all come together. I felt like at times, yeah, their defense is still great, but I feel like their offense to me is kind of inconsistent at times. And I just worry too, for whatever reason, the Mountain West is really struggling in the tournament. I think they've lost 8 straight now. I think the last time they've had a team in Sweet 16 was BYU back in 2011. For whatever reason, the Mountain West has struggled. I like the San Diego State team. I think it's a team that could make a run here. I just worry that their offense, it just doesn't find a way one night to be able to score enough points, and that's kind of been the issue with them the last couple of years. So I do like them. I would not be shocked to see them in the Sweet 16, but I do think Furman knocks them off in the second round.
Yeah. So who do you got in your in the Elite 8, and who do you got winning the region?
I got Bama versus Creighton. I got Bama winning it. I think Bama's got the easiest path to Elite 8. I would be stunned to see them go down before that. Brandon Miller's, he's had a phenomenal season. They got a ton of talent. I think Creighton, depth obviously a concern, but Arizona's kind of banged up. And Arizona reminds me of the NBA team, just where they get up on you early on, and then they defense shuts down for a bit. They turn the ball over. I don't trust that team to win 6 straight games. I just don't. I don't trust Curbelo because he's still just not Curbelo, Kirk Ariza, because he's a hothead, and I don't want that out of my point guard in a tournament game. So I think Creighton knocks him off in the Sweet 16. But so yeah, I got Bama moving on to the Final Four.
Yeah, it should be a good region, the South region. And we kind of know. I have a feeling who Hector's going to pick in the South region. I have a feeling he's going to pick Baylor. I got a feeling. Yeah. I know they don't have good inside game, but they do have really, really good guard play.
Yeah, they do. Flagger, Keontae Jordan, it's been inconsistent for him all year. But yeah, if he can find it, he can go on a roll here. Again, I would not be surprised to see Baylor go on a run, make a Final Four. I thought the defense was going to start improving with Jonathan Chamachachua came back. It really hasn't. But yeah, Scott Drew's kind of I like Scott Drew as a coach. I would not be shocked there to see them go on a run.
Absolutely. So we'll go to the Midwest region. And in this region, this is kind of a wide open region because the best team in the region has their best player hurt and they played in a terrible conference. So I think this region is the most wide open region. I think the teams people are talking about, obviously Houston, talking about Texas, Indiana. They would be talking about Miami if they had one of their better players healthy. But the big question here is who is the sleeper? Who's the team that no one's talking about who could make a big run in the Midwest region?
I got the Texas A&M Aggies.
Good one. I think that team was underseeded.
Part of me doesn't, because I didn't like the non-conference. They were horrible, but I know that's Buzz Williams' teams, though. They get so much better in January and February. I could see them being a 6, but I felt like a 7, especially because of how down the SEC. There was just so much parity in the SEC this year. But I think that A&M team with Wade Taylor, he's an awesome scorer. Trice Rediford, they both have the ability to go off and have big nights. I worry about they played Sunday, but they're playing Penn State, who also played on Sunday in the conference championship game. Travel sometimes you kind of see it affect them, but I think A&M, I think they could kind of grind it out against Texas, and I think they could find a way to knock off the Texas Longhorns. I like that team, Texas, but Wade Taylor's another guard who could just steal a spotlight in this tournament.
Absolutely. So who is the mid-major that can make a run in this tournament in this region?
I got the Drake Bulldogs coming out with the 12 seed.
I heard a lot of people like Drake over Miami.
Yeah, and that scares me. I don't like usually being with usually the most popular picks don't pan out, but I do love this Drake team. They got the coach's kid, Tucker DeVries. He's averaging 18 a game. Could be maybe a second-round NBA pick. He's got the potential, but they got guys who have been there for 5-6 years. I think their starting lineup's older than the OKC Thunder starting lineup. Like, it's a mature group of guys. My one concern with them is they could go through kind of some cold droughts, but their defense usually makes up for it. They looked really good in the Missouri Valley tournament. That Drake, Roman Penna, Siena transfer, gets to go back to his old arena as they're playing in Albany. He's a guy, too, that's kind of their number 2 guy, good point guard. He's another fifth-year guy. I like the Drake Bulldogs to make a run there to Sweet 16.
So who is your Elite 8, and who do you have going to the Final Four of the region? For me, I got Texas, and here's a surprise. I got Indiana. I think they're going to have some issues. I think Trace Jackson Davis is going to have a big tournament. He was a first-team All-American. I think their guards are going to hit shots, and I do think they're going to upset Houston, especially if they don't have Sasser. So I got Indiana and Texas. But I got Texas winning. I think they looked really good in the Big 12 tournament. I think Dylan Dessou is the key for them. Dylan Dessou played really, really well in that final. That gives them an inside game. Rice is he's a good player, and we all know that Marcus Carr is their best player. So I got Texas coming out of this region beating Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. Kent State's not gonna be easy. That's a good Kent State team.
I heard you on John talking about that.
I almost took them again, but I was like, I'll talk about Drake. I love Drake as well, but yeah, I got Texas versus Houston. I'm going with Houston with Calvin Sampson. I heard yesterday, I think Sasser sounds like he's going to be okay. It sounds like they held him out Sunday just because of precautionary reasons. So, yeah, it is still a groin, and you do worry a bit. But I really like Houston. Again, they're going back. Final Four is going to be in Houston. Marcus Sasser, I think that guard that could really, senior guard. There's could have a big show. Jarris Walker, the 5-star freshman. He's going to be a lottery pick. Again, he's another guy who could really elevate his stock, I feel like, in the next couple of weeks with a good tournament. And Jamal Sneed's been really coming on the last couple of weeks. And he's another guy. If he could continue to play well and shoot the basketball like he has the last couple of weeks, Houston's a really dangerous team. Texas is a solid team. I still worry a little bit about the defense, but yeah, I agree with you with Dylan DeSuze. He's really come on in the month of February, and he's absolutely made a difference for that team. And yeah, Carr, as long as he's not making mistakes like he did last year, that team is that team's got a shot. So I'm right there with you. That's kind of my one chalk one, but I think Houston takes it. And I think Calvin Sampson is Cougars have to go back to Houston and play a Final Four down there.
Well, I'll be if they get there, I think they're winning it. I think if they get to the Final Four, they're winning it.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. I worry about the offensive time just because they really don't blow anybody out because they play games of 60, 70. They let somebody hang around, they get beat. But yeah, again, Calvin Sampson to me is the best coach in the country, hands down. And yeah, I could totally see that Houston team cutting down the nets in first Monday in April.
All right, we'll wrap up talking about our Final Four picks. And for me, obviously I have Alabama, I got Marquette, I got Texas and Kansas. I think in the first semifinal, Alabama against Marquette, I'm definitely going to go with Alabama. I don't think any player on Marquette is as good as Brendan Miller. And in the second semifinal, I got the fourth meeting of the year between Kansas and Texas. And I think Kansas with Bill Self-Beck gets revenge against Texas. And then I got the final being Kansas against the defending national champions, Kansas against Alabama. And I think it's a great game, but the best player all year has been Brendan Miller. And that's why I think the Alabama Crimson Tide are going to be cutting down the nets in Houston on April 3rd. And I got them winning the national championship.
Yeah, I totally see that happening. For me, my first one, I got Alabama and Arizona. I do get the Crimson Tide as well, moving on. And then in my second one, I have Gonzaga playing Houston. I think Houston gets it done. And I do have Houston knocking off Alabama in the national championship game. I think Sasser finds a way to get it done. I think Calvin Sampson, I think, Jarris Walker plays well defensively on Brandon Miller, slows them down enough. And I think Alabama with three freshmen, maybe, a couple of the guys have a little bit of an off night. And I think Houston finds a way to cut down the nets.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Should be a lot of excitement. It has started already for the playing round, but everything starts in earnest tomorrow, and it's one of the most exciting times of the year. So we are really, really looking forward to that. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week talking about the second weekend of the NCAA tournament and any NFL news that comes our way. Enjoy March Madness, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Sticky Meat, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.